If I can ask His Excellency Jassim Badawi and Her Excellency Patricia Scotland to also join me here so that we can have a brief question and answers. After 3 really excellent, I think, introductory speeches, I wanted to have the chance just to engage with everybody and give an opportunity. We'll do a short round of some questions and answers. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and I will take a round maybe of 5-6 questions, and then I will return to our panel. Let's try to do this in about maybe 20 minutes or so, given the timing that we have. So please, the floor is open. Who would like to come in with a question, if anybody has here? I see one over there, please, on the left side. Just wait for the microphone to come down. They're coming now so that everybody can also hear.
Is there any attempt to revive the Peninsula Shield Force again to lessen the security threats against the Gulf country?
Great.
Why do almost all the GCC countries build up an indigenous defense industry initiatives rather than building the industry together?
Diana Galeyeva, Oxford University. My question to Your Excellency Patricia Scotland. Thank you so much for sharing important ongoing project of the organization. And I know that there were a lot of discussions about reforms of the organization, including of welcoming new members. And from 56 member states of Commonwealth, almost, to my knowledge, 46 small countries, small states. And as we know, most of the GCC countries also small states. So do you consider any opportunity that the Gulf countries, GCC countries, will join the organization? Thank you so much for your attention.
Hi, am I audible? I will speak slowly because I will not want to face the situation. So one of the biggest issues in the GCC country is that they are deficient in labor force, and almost 80% of the labor force in GCC countries, they are migrants from different parts of the world. So my question, my humble request is that why not have some kind of dialogue between these labor receiving countries, GCC countries, and labor sending countries, so that it can be a win-win situation both for the receiving countries as well as the receiving countries, sending countries and receiving countries. Because I come from India, South Asia. Almost majority of the migrants are not only South Asia but also other parts of the world. So my request is that so that some kind of dialogue can be held between the migrant sending countries and the GCC migrant receiving countries, so that it can be a win-win situation for both these countries. Thank you, everybody.
Is there also a question on Europe for Mr. De Mayo, the gentleman there in the white shirt in the middle?
Thank you. Yeah. I had one question about hydrogen and green hydrogen. I know the EU is involved in that also, so maybe if you can bring us like the latest details on that.
Okay, I'll take one more, and that's the lady right here in the middle who has her hand up.
Thank you so much to the distinguished speakers. My name is Irina Zuckerman from the US. My question is to the entire panel. Is there a strategy for the GCC, the Commonwealth, and for the UK to combat ideological extremism, radicalization, and the funding of radical ideologies?
Okay, thank you. So we have a number of questions here. Jassim, can I start with you on also Peninsula Shield, what I heard on the indigenous defense, and also on the migration and sending countries in the Gulf?
On the Peninsula Shield, I don't know what sort of information you have that it needs to be revived, or there is need to be revision for it. The activities are on a daily basis. The base is still in eastern Saudi Arabia. We are engaged on continuous military exercises. The last one I attended was in Kuwait, December of last year, where a whole comprehensive forces from the 6 GCC countries were present with live ammunition. The program is moving steadfastly. They're expanding. They're meeting. The ministers of defense of the GCC meet on a regular basis. The chief of staff for the military meet more than 3 to 4 times a year, and if they need an extraordinary meeting, they meet. Believe it or not, even during the Gulf Rift, the military cooperation was still continuing. So we're very proud of what we have achieved. I am, as a Kuwaiti, I will never, ever forget what the Desert Shield has done to liberate my country, and we are extremely proud of the work of the Desert Shield. Your question on military industry. See, each country within any organization has 2 tracks, a bilateral track and a multilateral track. And each country has its own vision that it implies, or it moves forward through a bilateral track or within its regional organization or in the international community. I am sure that there are dialogue on the military industries discussion. We are 43 years old. We are still learning. We are still growing. It could come. I've heard that there are discussion and dialogue that we might do a joint project. I know countries are doing bilateral dialogue on industries. It is on the list. It will come one day, and you will hear about it. There are still not only military industries. There are also other aspects that we need to work on a collective matter in the GCC, and one of which is the military industry, I think. Should I finish the on? Yes. I really did not get your questions very well. I'm assuming that you are advising that GCC countries engage in a dialogue with countries that have the expats from. Again, we are very much doing so. We are extremely proud of what we have done on a global level on meeting the international standard, the ILO. We can have Sheikh Jawahir here, the Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Kuwait for Human Rights, answer your questions if you wish, but we are extremely proud of what we have achieved, meeting the criteria of the ILO. We are in continuous dialogue with countries, embassies, international organizations, and making sure that these expats are well protected, are being dealt with in a fair manner. His Excellency, the Foreign Minister of India, we will have a joint meeting with him next September. This could be one of the issues that we can discuss, but there is no issue to make an issue of. I mean, there is no problem to deal with. It's just how you improve and give better services, but there is no phenomena or a negative aspect in this situation. Thank you very much.
Excellency Patricia, you had the question on the Commonwealth, the membership, and also maybe some reflection on combating extremism that was mentioned to all speakers.
The first thing to say is that you're absolutely right, that the Commonwealth is probably the multilateral organization with the largest number of small states. There are about 42 small states in our world, and 33 of them are members of our family. And what is extraordinary about our Commonwealth is, of course, we come from 5 different regions. And we, therefore, are a bit like a microcosm or a petri dish of the whole world. And we are not an organization which is bound by treaty. So there's not a Commonwealth equivalent of Brexit. You can just leave. So not being treaty bound does not mean that we're not bound by other things, because we are bound by values. And our members come together because of those values. And in 2013, we came up with a Commonwealth Charter as the distillation of what we believe and what we share. And as a result of that, you'll notice that the 16 clauses of our Charter, which was signed in 2013, is mirrored almost precisely by the Sustainable Development Goals, which was agreed by the UN in 2015. And we agreed in 2015, in relation to climate, that we would have a 2-degree platform, 1.5 aspirational target, and that we would have enforceability. And that's what the UN agreed in December, after we in the Commonwealth had agreed it in November. So there's huge similarities. And actually any country who shares our values, human rights, democracy, the rule of law, any country can, if they wish, apply to join the Commonwealth. And there is a set process through which any such country can go. And recently, all of, I think, the last 5 or 6 countries who've joined us were never part of the old British Empire, were never part of that system, but have joined us because of what we stand for. So that's one. Secondly, we are now the new Commonwealth, which was given birth to in 1949, has absolutely committed itself to peace and security and to fighting extremism and those who would destroy us. So if you look at the work that we're doing on peace, on unity, it is absolutely focused and practical. So I can assure you that within our Commonwealth family, one of the major roles that I play as Secretary General has been as a peace negotiator. I thank God that in the 8 years that I have been Secretary General, notwithstanding that many of our countries have been at the brink of severe either implosion or explosion, we have together as a family been able to embrace them, support them, and to date we have managed to secure security. Only one country who had only just joined us, and that is Gabon, who was, of course, a francophone country, has had a coup. And we are now working really hard with them to repair that damage. So as far as radical ideologies are concerned, we absolutely understand the danger that they pose, and through all the work we're doing with our young people, if you look at the initiatives, they are to generate peace, understanding. One of the most fantastic things is we represent every faith, every culture, and every region. And if you look at the level of the complex interrelationships between our cultures, it is extraordinary. But in the Commonwealth, we absolutely focus on what joins us and not what divides us. I often think it's a bit like our DNA. 99.9% of the DNA of everyone in this room is identical. What separates us is 0.1%. And what we as a world tend to do is to concentrate on that 0.1%, which makes us different, and not the 99.9%, which makes us human. What we in the Commonwealth do is we concentrate on the 99.9, and where we cannot agree, we disagree well and peacefully. Now that is a methodology that has worked for us for 75 years, but I think it can also work for our world, and there's nothing more important than us coming together and finding the solutions that we need. Multilateralism has never been more needed than it is today. And this meeting is hugely important because you have on the same platform Europe, GCC, and the rest of the world.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency Luigi, please, you had the hydrogen and also maybe reflections on the extremism.
About that, according to the program of the European Union called Repower EU, by 2030 we are going to import 10 million tons of hydrogen per year and to produce in Europe other 10 million tons of hydrogen. And by 2030, for instance, Saudi wants to be the first supplier world level of hydrogen. But at the same time, looking at the Emirates and what United Arab Emirates did during the COP28, they are pushing a lot on the hydrogen development. Oman is already signing contracts with European companies about the production of hydrogen on their green hydrogen on their soil, and so on. Even the other countries of the GCC are very active about the investments, in particular about the technologies, because there are still many question marks about the technology, about the transportation of hydrogen and so on. What is our role as European Union? First of all, we would like to try to create with the GCC friends a common regulatory framework in order to establish what is clearly the green hydrogen, because sometimes there are different views about that. And second, to use the new corridor called IMEC, that is for goods, energy and data, in order to accelerate this kind of partnership. The rest is on the companies, on the business sector. And our business communities are very active about the collaboration and cooperation on the hydrogen side. And I just joined during the last 6 months many events about hydrogen in the Gulf, and the main companies from the European Union were already there and are negotiating with their counterparts of the Gulf, of the GCC, many deals. Finally, I think that in few months we will have even good news on the bilateral side. So European Union, some countries of the GCC about the energy cooperation, and this is something in the making that we are still implementing bilaterally with some countries, and I think that we will have a better cooperation, more and more cooperation in the next months, because it's something that is very important for our energy mix.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I know that the time is pushing. Please join me in thanking our speakers for really 3 excellent presentations.